When does the insurance piece come in?
The first thing you really should do is hire a personal injury lawyer, or at least ask them what you should do. Insurance companies are in business to charge you for a service that when you need it, they hope that they don't have to pay. That's how they make money. Insurance is all a game of data analytics to try to decide how much should I charge you to make sure that I have more profits next year.
Sure.
And keep myself from having to pay out. And it's especially bad when it's the at-fault party insurance company. So it's okay to talk to your own insurance company after an accident. I don't recommend it, but it's definitely not as bad as talking to the at-fault party's insurance. Because what they're going to do is everything you say can and will be used against you. First thing they're going to ask is, hey, how are you feeling today? Oh, I'm feeling okay. And you might think that that's not a problem. In reality, you've just admitted that you have no injuries. Second thing they're going to do is, hey, well, how did the accident happen? Oh, well, I don't know. I think this truck did this, and I think this truck. No, that's clearly giving them an opportunity to change up the story. And what Allstate has mastered is they actually created a software system called Colossus in the 1980s that was specifically designed to devalue injury claims. And so Colossus consists of these 32 metrics that they've figured out are consistent with valuing injury claims. The top 3 are gaps in care, right? Where you have a gap in treatment, meaning the accident happens, you don't see a doctor for another 2 weeks, boom, you've established a gap in care, you're not that injured. Second thing is the property damage amount. So if you have a car that's been clearly totaled and it's clearly been damaged, any jury that sees your crumbled up Coke can of a vehicle is going to say, yeah, this person's hurt, I'm going to give them real money. Because that's what your case is really worth, is what a jury of your peers would decide your case is worth. That's why cases in California are worth more than cases in South Georgia. Because people in California are a lot more liberal, and their perception of money is very different than people in rural towns.
Okay.
So the same accident that would have occurred in DeKalb County, Georgia, would be worth more money than the accident that just happened next door in Paulding or somewhere else.
So interesting.
That's exactly how it works. And so the county is also one of those metrics. But the property damage, the gap in care, and then also the clear liability. They want to make sure that in any way, form, or fashion, they say they're not 100% liable for the accident. So the tractor-trailer driver in your situation rear-ended you, should be 100% liable, but because of the way that the story came out and no police report, no clear liability, no ticket, now they can say, let's call it 50-50. You're 50% liable, my truck driver's 50% liable. You might think that that evens out. It doesn't, though, because Georgia is a comparative negligence law state, meaning if you are at least 50% liable, then you recover 0. Right? In some cases are pure contributory negligence, meaning if you're just 1% liable, then you can't recover anything, like North Carolina. And so the importance of having 100% liability, meaning you are not liable at all for the accident. The person that hit you is 100% liable, is of utmost importance. And you get that by getting a police report, by getting the person to have a ticket issued, and having a lawyer have the conversation with the at-fault insurance company to make sure they accept 100% liability. Hiring a lawyer from day one really is the right move. And I think even before that happens is making sure you see a doctor that specializes in spine injuries. State Farm takes these stances on the value of your case. I've noticed with State Farm, once you have a $100,000 policy, that's when they start getting a little bit more difficult. They'll pay you out the 25s and 50s pretty easily. You know, we collect the $25,000 and $50,000 checks multiple times a day, every single day, all the time.
Got it.
But once it gets to a $100,000 case, it's almost like they evaluate it differently and they put a different team on it. And there's a lot more legal nuance. Like if there's $100,000 in insurance coverage and you settle your case for $99,000, you might think, hey, it's just $1,000 difference. The problem is if you don't get the full insurance policy amount, you must sign a general release of all claims. When you sign a general release, it means you can't pursue another claim with your own insurance company, like with uninsured motorist coverage, underinsured motorist coverage, sometimes medical payments coverage. So you need to collect the full insurance policy amount to tap into the second layer of coverage. And none of this happens if you don't have clear liability, police report, evidence. So you don't get to step 17 unless you've done step 1 and 2 correctly.
Okay, this all makes sense to me. Where were you a couple of months ago?
I was trying to text you and you weren't answering.
Yeah, all I heard in this last 5 minutes was blah 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 blah. Bert, you're. That's what I heard.
But this is something that's really important. And so even in the case with my client that was involved in a tractor trailer accident, there were 3 different accidents that occurred, and it was difficult to determine which accident caused which injury. Luckily for us, we got the MRI done immediately after the tractor trailer accident. And so we were able to show that in the moment he was rear-ended, he went to a doctor, and you can't get an MRI unless you go to a doctor first. A doctor has to order the MRI. So I recommend going to either a chiropractor, a physical therapist, orthopedic specialist, or some type of medical doctor. Ideally not your primary care physician, because they're not really educated on car accidents. So everyone that gets in a car accident that goes sees their primary care physician, they're going to get recommended physical therapy in 4 to 6 weeks if they're not feeling better. They're also going to recommend these 2 medications, Flexeril and ibuprofen. Flexeril for muscle spasms, ibuprofen for your pain relief and loss of the swelling. And so if you go to the right doctor immediately after the accident, they're going to refer you out to an MRI. The MRI is an objective test. So it doesn't lie, right? If you go to an MRI a couple of days after an accident and you see a couple of herniated discs, and naturally there's this edema around your herniated discs, and you can see that there's this aggravated swelling in those areas, that's consistent with the injury that you just sustained. That just so happens to establish the third element of negligence, which is causation. Duty, breach, causation. The way you establish causation, meaning you are actually complaining of the injuries that were occurred from this accident, is by getting MRIs. So the most valuable and most important 3 letters that you could know in any sort of car accident situation is MRI. Get the MRIs done as soon as possible. And once you establish that, that's enough to basically do whatever you want with the case, meaning now your injuries are clear. Whether you want to do physical therapy or you need to get injections done or you need a surgery, if you get the MRI within the first week or 2 after the accident, it's impossible for the insurance company to come in and say, yeah, you hurt yourself when you were playing hockey the other day. No, here's another MRI after I played hockey. It's consistent with the same MRI that I took a week after the accident. So clearly there has not been any sort of aggravation or exacerbation of this pre-existing injury. So the MRI is the most valuable thing that you can do after an accident. First, after you get an accident, make sure we have clear liability, get that police report. Second, go to a doctor that's going to refer you out for MRIs on all injured body parts. Third, hire a lawyer that specializes in personal injury. And ideally, the way you qualify a lawyer, if they're good at personal injury, by looking at their website. If they offer more services than just personal injury, like they do immigration, like they do criminal defense, like they'll do real estate transactions, they'll review a contract for you, they'll help you with a speeding ticket. That's an everything lawyer, and an everything lawyer is a nothing lawyer. So you hire the one that's the expert in the one thing you're looking for, and then you rely on the reputation that they have online. And social media is the new reputation manager.
Right.
So you can just post and say, hey, what do you guys think about CEO lawyer? And if you get 30 comments and the majority of them are negative, that's clearly not someone you should hire.
Yep.
But if you go online, you see that they have 500 Google reviews, mostly 5-star. You see that you have client testimonials that they're very happy everywhere you look, and especially the relationships that they have with people that are, upstanding members of society. This is all evidence that this is a good lawyer that you should hire. But first, they have to be a specialist. You can love your friend, your cousin, all you want, but if they don't specialize in the case that you have, it's kind of like going to an eye doctor when you've got foot fungus.